Security officer Marcel Mitchell is wheeling sophomore Francisco Martinez down the hall against his will. Look in the middle of your screen and you can see Mitchell hit Martinez several times in the head.
That's when he strikes me 2 times with an open hand so hard in my face that I had bruises in my face. And then I was slapped out of my chair because I was not sitting all the way in my chair. So I was slapped out of my chair. So I hit face first, and I hit this part right here.
Martinez says that Mitchell and another security guard beat him up in the elevator before the scene you see from the security camera.
The officer just puts his whole weight behind my back. And I have surgeries there. So, of course, it's painful, and I screamed.
Every week, stories like these are why we have Fired Up Fridays. Dream Team, let's take a closer look at the surveillance video because we've got the whole thing. Take a look. You can see, look at that. What? I don't understand that. You know, the backstory is that it was time to go to class. But I want you to see right now. You see the kid in the white shirt right there? He's like the only one that sort of has a level head here and kind of steps in and tries to step in and say, hey, maybe adults, you shouldn't be slapping and beating up a kid that's got cerebral palsy and is in a wheelchair. But what do? They push him away as well. So the backstory here is that it was time to go to class, apparently, and some kids were lingering, including the kid with cerebral palsy who was in a wheelchair. So the security guard decides to push him into class. While he's pushing him, the kid in the wheelchair gets upset and slaps his hand. So then the security guard decides to handcuff the kid with cerebral palsy in the wheelchair. When he does that, the kid in the wheelchair gets even more upset, ends up spitting at the security officer, who then does what he does, which is the beating. Bottom line here, someone's not going to class. There are other ways to get them to class without handcuffs, right, Philip Hollander? Holloway?
Absolutely. This guy, this security guard, needs to be in jail for a long time. There is absolutely no justification.
He's been fired. He has been fired. I want to make sure everyone knows.
Well,
he lost his job. He's been charged with felonies.
Well, it's the least he could do is be fired, but he needs to be in prison. You can't take somebody like that and beat him the way he did and not expect to go to prison. That's ridiculous.
Ebony?
Agreed in full. I mean, that's absolutely nothing short of an assault and battery, a pretty violent one. I think it should be a felony. I think there's several aggravators here. This is the most vulnerable type of victim among us, right, guys? A student, someone who has a severe handicap and cannot defend himself. It is a shame that parents send their kids to school to be safe, and look at what they're exposed to.
Yeah, and my guess is here, Philip Snyder, I haven't spoken to him. My guess is the kid, as he's being pushed in the wheelchair, probably was upset that someone was pushing him and wanted to wheel himself to class, and then he gets handcuffed. We're handcuffing someone who's in a wheelchair.
Absolutely. I'm fired up. And you know who else I'm fired up about? The principal. Apparently, the principal writes a letter to the entire school defending the officer. And then the video comes out, and lo and behold, a retraction comes and says we're deeply saddened. The principal should also bear some responsibility, and he should be fired.
Yeah, and you see all these adults here, and you've got a series of adults who all think that this is okay, and no one steps in. The only one who stepped in was one of the students. Absolutely amazing that a student stepped in.
It's the uniform. It's because the guy's wearing a uniform and he's in a position of authority, and people just can't believe what they're seeing, so their instinct is to not get involved.
If you're fired up, let us know. #OnTheCase on Twitter, or go to our Facebook page, HLN on the Case.